Welcome to Weird Weaver. I'm your host, Jack Spell, and today we're going to talk about the equilibrium of the paradox. Now, I know that sounds really complicated, but let me just spell it out for you. We're all familiar with the terms of duality, right? Yin and yang, darkness and light, cold and hot, up and down, subconscious and conscious, darkness and light, and bright and dark, and loud and quiet. Like everything exists in opposites, in polarities. Just like an atom is held together by this positive charge at the center and then this negative charge around the outside. Everything sort of has an in-between, like the neutron. And what's been causing a lot of confusion, I've noticed in my life and of people that I'm connected with, is this struggle to kind of attain equilibrium or balance within the paradox of duality. So the insight that I've gained through experiencing this and having deep conversations has been that really both opposites are true. And by accepting that, everything is true, therefore nothing is true, and that both sides of an argument can be correct, that this Libra balance is able to be established, and that this is actually the center point. This is the point that brings relaxation. It brings a clear mind, steadfastness, relax the nervous system and just bring us into a clear perspective where we can have sort of an eagle-eyed view and see things as they are, and thus choose to act from a center point that is wise. So I want to go a little bit deeper here because my favorite polarity is between the subjective and the objective. And nowhere does this come more into view than with perception. And, the way that the world or the sensory experience of the world tends to occur, I've noticed, is that, it looks like we're all sort of moving around in a third dimensional kind of playground together. And there's all these different dimensions and frequencies and energies and matter and all pretty colors and sounds and lights, and everything is sort of happening, and we share in that experience. It's like a horse runs through the center of town and just like, whoa, shit, look at that horse, like there's a horse over there. And everyone shares that experience, and because the experience is shared, it appears to be an objective reality. It's something that exists outside of ourselves, and thus we come into agreement and say, okay, this has happened. Now, all this is happening, subliminally, and is more of a collective conscious kind of contract or phenomena. But what's interesting is when we have experiences that are subjective to us. So an emotion, a feeling, is something that is invisible. If I'm feeling love or anger or sadness, like there can be, tears or an expression on my face and subtle muscle movements, and I might sweat, or I might get really red and hot. Like there are physical markers to indicate that there's a biochemical change taking place inside of me due to an emotional trigger. But the emotion itself does not exist to anybody else. It is a indescribable sensation. It could be, warmth or cold or tightness or an openness or a thousand other adjectives to describe this. And yet it is purely subjective. So no one can tell you what you're feeling. Now, if we extend this a little bit out and say, okay, you go to sleep at night and you have a dream. Now you have a dream that, I don't know, your best friend is standing on his head and there's a duck balanced on both of his feet, and the ducks are spitting fire at each other, and you're like wow, what a weird dream. Then you call him the next day and you're like, hey man, I had this dream about you, blah blah blah. And he's like, oh, that's weird. Cool. You know, he didn't have the same dream usually. So it's this, it's something that only happens for you. It's something that is completely unique to your experience in the world. And so, your friend can say, no, you didn't dream that. That didn't happen. It didn't happen for him. It didn't occur for him. He wasn't aware of that dream, but it occurred for you. It was real in your experience. So there are things that happen to us subjectively, and they're not necessarily objective because we can't always make agreements with other people about what's occurring, but we can feel it for ourselves and experience it. It's like, okay, this is real for me. Now, where we can now take this, and the place that I kind of want to put it into, is that space where something moves from being subjective into objective. So this is, one of the main reasons why I have so many wonderful friends who are willing to engage in strange conversations and to, share our dreams and speak about things that are invisible, our feelings or things that we imagine, or subtle sensations and synchronicities and experiences that occur for us. And I found that by sharing these subjective aspects of ourselves, there's often a lot of similarity. It's like, wow, you had a dream. Well, like my dream was very similar. Or you're going through this difficulty right now. Well, I'm actually going through something really similar in my own experience. And so I just find it fascinating how we can, connect on things that to us might seem unnatural, or things that we feel alone in. That it's like, oh, I had this experience and I saw this thing, or I had this feeling, and it feels like I can't share it with anybody because it's too out there. I don't want people to think that I'm crazy because I experience something subjectively that other person is not going to experience. Because the truth is that everyone has different levels of sensitivity to different things. Some people have more of an ear for music, or an eye for fashion, or some people might be very skilled in like tactical, like strategic thinking, or using their higher mind. Some people are very good communicators. Like there's all these different areas that our consciousness can develop in. And for you, if you're having experiences where you're having an empathic sort of like emotional resonance with something, or an animal speaks to you, or something of that nature, like know that it's okay to be there, because there are other people who feel that way. Ultimately, it's all about like loving ourselves, and developing like respect and courage for the being that is us, who is here in this life and who's facing all these challenges and accomplishing all these things, or taking our time to explore the mysteries of life. And if you haven't found people who you resonate with yet, or who you can speak your deepest truth to, then I'm here to tell you that will come. And by accepting ourselves, and even if we don't share it externally yet, just allowing ourselves to explore that thing. Maybe it's something you want to read a book about, and want to like gain more knowledge and sort of learn for yourself. You're allowed to have secrets. You're allowed to have things that you keep for yourself, and like the treasure chest of your heart. And those are beautiful, valuable aspects of yourself. And no matter how old or young you are, life is always evolving, and is always bringing us, carrying us forward to evolve with it. So there's no telling how this skill or this knowledge or the sensitivity that you are discovering and developing could be useful to you later in life. You know, a couple years down the road, you'll look back and be like, oh, that's why I went through that. You know, it taught me this, or, you know, I met that person and it changed my life and it put me on this trajectory, which is where I am now. And if we look back, we can notice where in the branches of possibility those kinds of things occurred. So, attain equilibrium within yourself by recognizing the world for what it is and yourself for who you are, and let your mind and body and spirit explore all those nooks and crannies in between, because you know that's where the treasure is hiding, is in these places that are drawing us towards them, and who, you know, whisper of secrets in the dark around the campfire. And there's always something more to explore, and you know, I wish you so much fortune on your journey. Jack Spell the Wyrd Weaver, and I'll see you in the dream.